guys, Mark here. I've got a product to show you. This is a product from a company called Taree Precision from Taree in New South Wales. And what we're talking about is a butt pad. So this butt pad on the back of this rifle. So there's actually a few of them they sent across. I'll put that out of the road for a second. They do a range of butt pads from slip-ons in various sizes. They do grind-on, or grind to fit butt pads, the likes of what we see in all sorts of other brands, but they do the grind to fit, and they do these made to fit your rifle. Like this is the same as what I have here. This is MDT, but they do a whole range of this sort of stuff. It's not just another butt pad, and I suppose that's the big deal I want to talk about. This is designed to reduce, as they reference, 80% of your felt recoil. Now I want to explain that. It's not stopping the equal and opposite action of the rifle going back or going up or doing whatever it's doing in that side of things. It's not stopping that force. We're talking about the felt recoil. So particularly one of the things that causes flinch in some places, some people stop shooting because of it, some people don't like it, some people it's not so much an issue to, it tends to send out that sort of thing. But actually that sting or that whack that you get from a rifle with a decent amount of recoil, especially a lot of your sporting rifles, your hunting rifles and that sort of stuff, where you can get that pressure that actually is a pleasant bit about shooting a rifle. Like I said, it can really cause flinches in places as well. Well, these are made out of different stuff. They have, on the outside, it's quite an interesting ingredient of what it's made out of. I haven't got the specifics of it, but it's sort of like rubber, it's sort of like silicone, it's sort of smoother and got a sort of a silky finish to it, but that isn't the important bit. The important bit is in the cross section you show there is some different. They show it as blue, I presume it is, I haven't cut one up to see, but there's this German silicone rubber. Don't know what that means. Obviously it was developed in Germany, I suspect. But basically it's a silicon gel that's inside there that, by how it's been described to me, is although it's sort of like normal silicon rubber when it's sitting still, when it's actually impacted it turns into a fluid. What it basically talking about is it transfers that sting into letting this thing expand a lot more rapidly to then absorb that sting. So it turns from something that you can pressure up against and then trying to hold the rifle, that type of thing, but it actually absorbs that punch, that sting, that whack, that whatever it is to you, it takes 80% of that away. So that can really help from the lighter side of us, or the more sensitive, or the more people are more inclined to flinch or use a rifle and don't like it, whether that's a young person or whatever that is, someone who's getting to, it's a bit they don't like about the rifle because they do end up with a bit of a sting out of it, a bit of a bite out of it. That's what this is designed to fix. So in actual fact, in that sort of level, it can then lower people's anxiety about shooting and improve accuracy with this same nature, which certainly improve the pleasure of shooting firearms. So it's something very relevant to understand as to the value of this sort of thing. I did a test on that. I suppose there's one thing I'd say with that, in the comparison between the standard MDT butt pad and put them the right way up, and theirs, this is another one of the same, they're a little bit deeper to create that same sort of thing. So you end up with a little bit more cushioning, but it isn't just the deeper, it is the German silicon rubber on the inside there, so the special consistency or the special innate abilities of that silicon rubber that's inside there. But I suppose the test we did, how could I prove that? Did I feel much different? This rifle here, a 338 Win Mag, 300 grain projectile, leaving it a bit over 2,600 feet per second, does have a bit of punch to it, does push a fair bit, pretty well set up rifle, but it still was a noticeable difference down the back here. Now I don't tend to suffer from the sting to it, but it definitely was a slightly softer feel about it. A more accurate test was taking, there was exactly that one there, so the same as this, putting on the end of my pump action shotgun and shooting some heavy rounds through that. Now once again, I doesn't tend to affect too much, but little Sam, my spotter, she does tend to, when she shoots that sort of thing, it pushes her around a fair bit, but in actual fact ends up with a proper little red mark on her where she's actually shot it. Now we went out and had a dozen shots each on that, shooting some SGs in the Super X Winchester stuff, so different sort of whack to it, something that would have left a bit of a mark there, and it didn't. Now, was that a scientific test? No, it wasn't whatsoever, but it was a real physical test as to that, yes, there was a difference about how this stuff performed. So I think very worthwhile. For some shooters in particular, it's going to matter a lot. So that's what I can tell you about them. I think they've done a good job. The guys over at Taree Precision have built something that is innovation, does change things. They actually have, I'll put their address down below so you can check them out for Australian market. They're also got, I think, soon to have a distributor over in America and the USA, but they do have a way to purchase it over there. So there is a setup where you can purchase through that. Once again, link down there, they'll be able to get you to that, or an address down there, you get to that. If you're from Australia, it'll link straight to here. They're definitely doing, I think it's free shipping to the USA is what they're up to at the moment, but it's pretty reasonable value for a pretty good product. So worthwhile having a sticky beak, worthwhile checking it out. Definitely something that we will use on a few rifles and do more testing with, but an interesting product and did make a difference. So no, that's what I can tell you on that one. Worthwhile checking out, definitely worth something to keep an eye on, and maybe try one and have a test. Yeah, that's what I can tell you on that one today. Thank you very much for checking in. I hope you liked the video, and we'll catch you next time.